There's a street that starts right behind the hippodrome and goes almost down to the shore. Theaters, taverns and wine houses are lined up one after the other on both sides of it. People call it Pornai Street. You could call it Harlot's Road if you want. You hear drunken laughters day and night. Fights break out very often. Every now and then, a drunken gets stabbed in the middle of the night. Country girls who were sold by their poor fathers to a pimp for a small amount of money, just in order to reduce the numbers of the stomachs to be fed at home, sing in the choir of the theatre where they work. Female dancers, on the other hand, who are counted one step above them, put on seductive shows in colourful and racy dresses. And the priests of Hagia Sophia simply play their traditional roles. Poor men can't do anything but curse these women every Sunday. Undoubtedly, these immoral sinners will burn in the eternal hellfire. But in fact, they do know that these shows will not be banned. They do know that even though the power of our Holy Emperor, the representative of God on earth, is strong enough to uproot him from there, the relief of Dionysus, the most seductive of pagan gods, will not be removed from the wall of the Kynegion theatre. They do know that, as long as they are useful, the establishment needs pagan gods, and the nobility needs fun. In the eyes of the townspeople, all actresses who appear in theatres are whores. Nobody blames the priests who refuse to hold a religious service for a deceased actress. Though there's a significant class difference between the simple actresses who are counted somewhere at the bottom and throw the man that they have picked in the nooks and crannies of Pornai Street after the theatre play at night to one of those private rooms of our Barbario's tavern, and the courtesans who hang out with only noble and wealthy men. They are all the same in the eyes of priests and devout Christians. A respectable woman will turn her head away if she encounters an actress in the bazaar. This city is multilingual, multicolored, livesome. Lined with large shops on both sides, Constantinople Street is lively day and night. In early evenings, Meza Street is filled with Egyptian sailors, apparently arriving from Alexandria, marching happily to plunge into the famous nocturnal realms of Constantinople. Every once in a while, an uneasy gaze of a blue who walks along with fast steps, camouflaging his face and ponytail hair so that he wouldn't appear to be a partisan, knowing that he'll be beaten up if he encounters a large group of Greens, wanders on the faces of the oncoming people. A woman proudly shows her friends the necklace she just bought from a silversmith in Argyropratea on the north side of the street. Delicious odors emanate from stalls on which meat and onions are fried. Stray dogs chase each other between the arches of forums. Every day, lots of idle men read the news on a board that hangs somewhere near the palace about the causes of the recent earthquakes, what the comet seen on the east end of the city in the last September means, or how the crimes committed by street gangs were punished, and gossips about the perversions going on in the nook spots of baths, fights over horse races, corrupt informants trying to make money by getting innocent people arrested, and of course, bribee judges. Those judges, bought by the senator called Marcellinus, again released a sodomite bloom, or rather, the nephew of this bloody senator. This heretic emperor, who supports monophysites, always gives the Greens the best places in the hippodrome. Now that all the earthquakes that haven't happened in all these years are starting to happen now, God must have been angry that the Monophysite is sitting on the imperial throne. Otherwise, why should Antioch, the stronghold of Monophysite infidels, be shaken by earthquakes every single day? The idle wanderers usually stretch their feet and eat at the foot of the column in Forum Constantine, where fur traders are commonly based. The slave market just ahead is mostly swarmed by a curious crowd who doesn't actually want to buy a slave, but rather to see the bodies of 13 or 14-year-old boys and girls whom only God knows which war they were brought from as booties to be used to the utmost until the day they die or become old and cast aside. Hired men, placed among the crowd by the slave owner, heat up the situation from time to time by making fake price increases. The poor neighborhoods, dominated by crime and vagrants at night, are actually near the imperial palace. Fortunately, our wise gardeners have planted plenty of trees on the side facing the poor neighborhoods, so that when His Majesty enjoys watching the Propontis from the balconies of the palace, he'll not have his aesthetic pleasure spoiled by the ugly buildings of the neighboring areas. Those below, on the other hand, consider themselves lucky that when they look up, they can see the roofs of the palace, or even part of it. Well, my wife and I live in a house overlooking the western wall of the palace, knowing that they'll receive a thorough thrashing if cold. Children, who usually choose a time when their mothers are not at home to do such a thing, often climb the railings of their balconies, and, at the instigation of his friend playing in the balcony of the opposite apartment, which is only a meter away from theirs, simply leap across to their balcony. While playing and spending time with his friend, he glances down the street from time to time. As soon as he sees that mother is coming to return home, he jumps up to their balcony again, and as if nothing had happened while she was away, pretends to solve the math problem that father had given him to solve until the next evening, or, if it's a bit of a cultured family, continues to read the tragedy written by Sophocles without understanding anything. When the housewives put things in order and go to the balcony to rest and spin, they call their neighbor in the opposite apartment and invite her to chat. Occasionally, the neighbors in the neighboring apartments also join this atmosphere from their balconies. Thus, a multiple conversation starts where everyone joins from the balcony of her own. The things they tell each other are basically nothing but grievances. There's no onion at home. The mischievous boy went to the bakery very late to get the free bread that the state distributes every day and returned home empty-handed because there was no bread left at that hour. The laundry woman Maria's fool husband, whose mind is on the next chariot races as usual, just doesn't understand that their roof that was damaged in the storm last December needs to be fixed before the rains begin. The butcher, from whom Sophia had bought half a kilo of pork chops yesterday, said that the news that 3 Blues had raped a noble woman who lives in Blaherna district on a street where she was passing at a not very late hour of the night is an exaggeration. Actually, the rapists were just 2.